Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I'm Cipher, and this is the Devil's Advocate Debate Club. This video will be a response to the second half of Rational Wrongthink's proposal on Utopia, being is Utopia achievable? Make sure to go watch his video first on his channel. The link is in the description, as the video will be kept private. That will be your best way of getting there. In the future, when someone plans to do two-part videos, as Rational had told me he would do, I think I'll wait till both parts are out to do my rebuttal. I was just so excited for my first debate, I couldn't wait this time. And hey, what's done is done. I promised you all another response. Now, he mentions that Utopia is undesirable because humanity is not cut out for it. Utopia seeks to eradicate pain. Well, kind of. This really depends on the definition of utopia. Utopia being defined as a perfect world might not necessarily predicate all pain being gone, but we'll get into that in more detail later. Now, he says it places happiness above fulfillment, but personally I think a true utopia would place the two equally. He says it places conformity to an idea above critical thought. For that I simply ask, how? He says it replaces risk with a perpetual safe space. Kind of. In a true liberal utopia, there would still be the risk of exposing yourself to entertainment you didn't like. Yeah, what a risk. And risk of rejection of your art, of the things that you create. Now, more on ways that creativity is important later on as well. He touches on how we would become hedonistic and nihilistic if everything were simply provided to us. But hedonism itself isn't all bad if all of our needs are freely met. And the human creative urge keeps our species from being nihilistic out of hedonism. It's a powerful thing. We're driven to build. Pain and struggle can come from finding something to create in a world where all needs are met. Finding a purpose in a world where you have little to actually do. That becomes a struggle in and of itself. And in finding acceptance socially with others for what you do manage to create. Now, at this point of his video, I got quite excited, because he did get into one of my favorite subjects, Universe 25, and the works of the good Dr. John B. Calhoun. I believe he was a doctor. Anyway, he explains Universe 25 fairly well for the purposes of our debate in his video, and I do plan to do a second video on the subject more specifically in the days to come. So I'm just going to touch on a few responses to what he has to say. Let's assume for this part of the video that Universe 25 was a perfect mouse utopia, and discuss why this study wouldn't translate well into human society. I'll go through the faults of the study itself on what a true mouse utopia might look like in my later video. Now, Rational's comparisons between groups of mice in Universe 25 and certain minority groups of humans are all apt. The key word here is minority. Take all the incels, feminists, men and mice going their own way, Antifa, and every other group that can be compared to the mice in Calhoun's studies modernly, and they still only make up a small, if loud, selection of humanity. Combined, they're still a minority. And the ruling class, perhaps considered the beautiful ones, still breed, unlike the mice in Calhoun's experiments. In human society, even those born into wealth essentially living in personal utopias their entire lives. They still have kids. A major difference between mice and men in Utopia is our young would be cared for with or without us. Medically, in the Utopia stage, there would likely be no need for women who didn't wish to go through pregnancy to have children through anything but a purely mechanical process. They could still have kids without going through the nasty process involved. Again, if we're in a true scientific and medical utopia. Also, in Universe 25, there were no rules protecting the mice from each other, leading to violence we simply wouldn't see in a human utopia. Now, I truly loved the MGTOW reference. Mice going their own way made me laugh to tears, but I'd like to talk about the otherkin comment he made. Otherkin, believe it or not, still breed, and more than that, show an important difference between the humans and the rodents. Our ability for creativity. See, Universe 25 was designed to fail, as I'll detail in my later video. It was basically a proof of concept for Calhoun's formula for social collapse. See, Universes 1 through 24, so to speak, had led him to perfect the formula. Universe 25 was the one he wrote the paper about to the National Institute of Mental Health to prove his concept. Less talked about are his further experiments, where he found mice that were encouraged to be creative didn't enter the death phase the same way or nearly as quickly. And human creativity is near infinitely greater than that of rats and mice. But I'll move on for now. Now, the next thing, let's get back to the human utopia, and the next thing wrongthink sees that gets in the way. Pain. Now, would there be pain in Utopia? Perhaps. The minor mental anguish of someone downvoting your latest virtual reality Utopia update. But would we have or need physical pain? First, wrongthink brings up lepers, who can't feel pain and it becomes a nightmare for them. But if all our medical needs are met, our vitality always monitored, our vital signs, so to speak, we wouldn't suffer the same fears of injury ourselves without knowing. We could be informed digitally rather than painfully. The same argument applies to the muscle pain argument that he gets into for bodybuilders. No reason why a digital alarm couldn't let you know when your muscles had had enough, rather than the physical pain that it allows bodybuilders to know now. Now, for mental pain, wrongthink addresses stress. The only kind of quote-unquote pain that I think would be allowed in a liberal utopia, and only through personal choice. Stress in small levels is good for our mental health, as rational expressions, and hence would still exist, possibly in regulated amounts, in a utopia. Now, regulating stress in Utopia isn't an idea I'd thought of before, so I'll be looking more into the concept of that for further videos. Give me just a moment, please. I blame the fire. It does so make one thirsty at times. Now, after that, wrongthink proposes the utopian dream is predicated on the misguided belief that physical safety and comfort alone lead to happiness, and that happiness is the highest virtue. But this seems at odds with his definition in his prior video, which more broadly included all our needs being met. For me, this would include psychological needs, or else we aren't talking about a truly perfect world. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Easy to say for someone who makes a living examining life. But wouldn't that become the purpose of all of us in Utopia? To examine our own lives and the lives of others? Humans also strive to create new things, whether we need them or not. It separates them from the beasts, and would save humans in Utopia. If they're given everything they want or need, they would build and innovate anyway. See, humans don't just build new things because they want or need them. Humans will build something new just to show that they can. And I doubt that that will ever stop. Wrongthink proposes that without working for a goal greater than oneself, you cannot achieve happiness. And in Utopia, what greater goal could there be? But innovation can still exist in Utopia, especially artistic innovation. You can still work for something greater than yourself. You can still have something to give, even if people have all they need. You still have one thing, as everyone is unique, that you can give to others to help you find meaning. Your ideas. Sharing ideas is how many find purpose now. The unique expression of our ideas may be the most valuable thing we, as individuals, can give one another today. And the value of free expression only increases as Utopia approaches. Lastly, I'd like to touch on the zombie apocalypse theme. See, in the virtual reality Utopia, we would face the challenges we chose to. And with how popular zombies are in media today, I have no doubt they would be around in the video gamer's Utopia. But who doesn't love fighting zombies from your safe space? So Utopia likely would resemble a zombie apocalypse for some, but only those who chose it. Now, like I said, I'll do a separate video touching on the flaws in Calhoun's experiment, how it was not really a utopia for mice, and the ways that I think it could be improved. I'd like to once again thank Rational Wrongthink for bringing the production quality to the debate. Be sure to check out his channel, linked in the description, but only after you subscribe here. Please keep the debate going in the comments below. As always, I'm your host, Cipher, and thank you for watching the Devil's Advocate Debate Club.